I was a corporate lawyer. I primarily focused in corporate and real estate matters. And then I left sort of law firm life to do real estate and economic development for the Bloomberg administration. And I sort of assumed that my path would continue to be real estate. And it seemed like a major trend, which I don't think is going away anytime soon, is green building and sort of a focus on sustainability and the impact that can be made in the building stock in this country. They estimate about 40% of the carbon emissions in the country come from buildings. I think there's a tremendous emphasis on sustainability, which has only gotten greater with the election of President Obama. I think there's a lot of things going on with at the federal level. And also, most of the states and local governments have been embracing green building. And there's been a tremendous wave of regulation where green building has gone from something that was sort of a voluntary initiative undertaken by developers to actually being required by a lot of jurisdictions for buildings over a certain size. Specifically commercial buildings, but there's starting to be restrictions also on larger residential buildings as well. My hope is that we'll get a tremendous level of integration. I think right now sustainability to some degree is viewed a little bit as sort of a side issue or an add-on, and I think that as companies sort of learn from their experience and realize what tremendous benefits can be had in terms of risk management and competitive advantage and innovation, that they will incorporate sustainability in a more holistic sense, and sustainability to be properly effectual, I think, needs to be incorporated in each sort of division and operation and thought of a company, as well as the government, and I think that will continue to happen. It's called Sustainability, Law and Policy. The reason policy is in the title is because, at least with respect to the U.S., there's not a ton of binding regulation or traditional command and control regulation so far. And so a lot of the way the U.S. market is dealing with sustainability is market-based incentives, government incentives, and different kinds of encouragements, or soft law, as we say, which is sort of setting normative standards and things that are non-binding and kind of voluntary or encouraged. But that tends to then turn into binding regulations, so I think it's sort of a harbinger of things to come. And we sort of look at sustainability as both a source of competitive advantage for companies and also as an ability to comply with the current laws and manage risk, as well as, obviously, I think it's hard to talk about sustainability without a sense of a moral component and a sense of environmental stewardship as well. I hope that students who take this class will understand that the law can be a positive tool for change, and that the law does that in different ways, that the law can both sort of ban things, right? The law can forbid things or require things, but the law can also sort of nudge people in the right direction. That's an homage to my former law professor, Cass Sunstein, that sort of you can set up these policy choices and make it beneficial for people to do the right thing, and that there's some real legitimate hard dollar value to doing the right thing with respect to sustainability, and then there's also, of course, just an ethical responsibility that we all have in living on a planet with constrained resources. I do think so, because I think we're only going to see increased regulation with respect to sustainability, and I do think that it will start to permeate every aspect of a business. So to the extent that anyone is going into business, it will be helpful to understand the kinds of restrictions that will be in place and the direction that companies are moving. And I also think that there's tremendous value for students of business to understand how the law operates in general, and how businesses have to operate within a regulatory regime. And I think this is in some ways a case study of that. I try to reflect my enthusiasm. I try to always make sure that I'm teaching things that I love, and I think that that comes through and hopefully can encourage students to sort of ignite their own interests as well.